Funding for this program is provided by the Millennium Fund, the Friends of Idaho Public Television, and the Idaho Public Television Endowment.
First time that I vaped, I was in 6th grade. I was 12 years old.
I was 14.
I was 9 years old. 15 when I first tried to vape. 13 years old. 12 years old. 10.
9 years old.
14 when I started.
About 11 years old when I started vaping.
My mentality was like, I need nicotine. If I don't have nicotine, I'm gonna be mad. I can't live without it.
It's an addiction. It was something that completely controlled me.
Vaping has become an epidemic here in Idaho. We found it in the elementary schools, the middle schools, the high schools, and college. It's everywhere.
E-cigarettes were developed in China and came onto the U.S. market in 2007. They were sold to the public as a smoking cessation tool. They became this global hit super fast. Within a few years, multi-billion-dollar global industry. No science to back it up.
So all vaping devices work the same. They have a battery on the bottom, a heating element in the middle, usually an atomizer or a coil, a container for liquid, and then a mouthpiece.
The beginning products had no oversight. There was no standardization. It was kind of the Wild West, and everybody bought into it and were using these products, but yet the science wasn't there to tell us, are they really safe? It wasn't until 2016 that the FDA received power to regulate e-cigarettes under tobacco products. At this point, there's about 6 million applications in the FDA on e-cigarette products to be reviewed.
The first generation was really the e-cigarette. It looked like a cigarette. There really wasn't much difference in size and shape. And about 3 years later, in 2009, we saw the development of the vape pen. That's when we started seeing refillable tanks. We started seeing flavors being added. And then in 2012, we saw the mod devices come out, which is short for modifying. You can add bigger tanks to the top. You can add bigger batteries. 2015, the Juul was created. That's when they started really seeing a change in teenage use.
Juul made a product that was sleek, easy to hide, and on top of that, they tasted good. They had sweet and fruity flavors that appealed to a younger market.
And within a year or two, they had captured 75% of the market.
Part of the reason why these were so popular is because there was so much nicotine in them that kids felt like they were getting a high from it, they were getting buzz from it.
If you vaped one Juul pod, that's equivalent to 1 pack of cigarettes. That's a lot of nicotine. We are going to have this whole new generation that's addicted to nicotine, just like we did with conventional tobacco.
It makes me pretty angry. It makes me really sad. You see the advertisements that these e-cigarette companies use, and you see the advertisements that the big tobacco of the 50s and 60s used to use, and they're the exact same, but it's just a different generation, my generation.
Juul advertised on social media using young, fashionable models. They hired influencers to promote their product. They had launch parties. They gave away free samples. Juul had an Instagram page and they had a Twitter page. And when you looked at their followers, 45% of those followers were people between the ages of 13 and 17. These are not people who are allowed to purchase e-liquids. These are not people who are allowed to vape. Juul strategically marketed to children to expose them to a product that would result in a lifelong addiction.
Finally, in 2020, the FDA banned fruity flavors from pod-based e-cigarettes like Juul.
The vape companies were like, well, then we're going to stop producing pod devices and we're just going to make these pod devices into one device and call them disposables. Therefore, we can still add flavors to them and we can have higher amounts of nicotine in them still.
I look at these kids, young kids, vaping, and many of them have no idea how addictive this product is.
I would vape every day.
24/7, every chance I could, I would try and take that hit.
Every hour.
Once every 15 to 20 minutes. I would wake up in the middle of the night, take a hit. Most of the time, it never left my hand. I just kind of learned how to do things with just one hand.
First time I vaped was on one of the first days of middle school in 7th grade. I went in the girls' bathroom and there was a big group of popular girls, like the really pretty ones everyone wanted to be friends with. They asked me if I wanted to try their vape that they had. The first time I tried it, I felt like I was gonna throw up. My chest got super tight and I was trying to play it off like nothing was happening. They saw that I wasn't a snitch, that I wasn't gonna tell on them, so they asked me to hang out with them more. Previously, I didn't really fit in at all. And so just like having that feeling like someone wanted to be my friend just meant everything to me. When I first started vaping, I used to get them from friends, maybe having one puff bar a week, and I thought that was enough. But I soon started vaping more, and I'd go through a puff bar every 3 days, and one just wasn't enough.
The brain doesn't fully develop until we're about 25. So when youth are using these products that contain nicotine, it's easier for them to get addicted. Nicotine affects the way the brain works. It can affect mood, impulse control, learning, attention, all of those things that our teens are doing daily.
Thank you. You are very welcome.
Even though I've been off of it for like a month and a half, like I still remember and crave how it feels, you know? And every time I wake up, I think about how good it would be to have one. But
it's not a good idea.
I feel like it's never gonna go away, and I just wish I never did it, you know? Because
I'm the same way. I'm still addicted, and I don't want to be, because I know it'll just mess with my life. I wouldn't get good grades. I started failing in school because of it. I was like, oh, I need the nicotine, so I'd run to the bathroom. I'd text my friends, wouldn't pay attention, just so I could go get nicotine.
I would like hit it in class, like
Me too.
do the
Put it in your
part.
sleeve.
Yep.
Put your hand up in
Or
your
like
bra.
move the Chromebook and like do tricks under it and stuff like that.
No.
In our science class, we always
Yeah.
used to do that.
And I never did get caught.
I noticed a lot of physical effects of vaping like right off the bat.
I feel so drained,
It's so tired so often.
Extreme chest pain.
winded easily.
I'd have to use my inhaler a lot more.
My lungs are hurting.
And I could barely breathe in at all.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
I could not breathe.
When I was younger, I was angry all the time. Some of the ways I would manage my anger was vaping. I'd vape to feel better, but when I didn't have it, I would crave it and get very angry, and I'd go back to that cycle to where I wanted to buy more.
I was in boxing for like 3 years. I loved it. I was really good at boxing. I was getting into like more top fights with people that I thought were like crazy good.
And then I started vaping, and that's when a lot of things started to change. I started getting shortness of breath. I didn't really feel motivated to go to practice. I just wanted to go in my room, relax, and start vaping and just kick back.
Sometimes whenever I'd hit it, my lungs would hurt. Like, I feel like I couldn't breathe after. I'll start coughing. I remember like sometimes whenever I would take too many hits, I'd puke. I don't know if that's normal, but my nose would bleed.
Vaping held me back from a lot of things I love to do.
We are seeing children as young as 7 or 8 years old that are vaping. We are also seeing lung injury that occurs with vaping. When we see kids in the hospital with vape-related injury, it goes along with respiratory symptoms such as shortness of breath, low oxygen levels, difficulty with exercise, and a lot of nicotine addictive symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, not feeling good, anxious. Particularly as they come off nicotine, they're experiencing all those symptoms that go along with withdrawal.
Like, I noticed right away that something was off with Damien. First things I noticed that when Damien was vaping was he was self-isolating. We couldn't get him out of his room. I always like would be questioning my parenting. Did I do wrong by giving them freedom to go to the skate park or have friends over? What could I do better as a parent? I don't know. It's hard being a parent. It's hard.
Our lungs are meant for two things: breathing in oxygen, exhaling CO2. Vaping is damaging the lungs. You just started seeing a trend in these teenagers coming in, and why they were coughing, why they were short of breath. You automatically thought it was asthma, but that ended up being the issue was the vaping. Now it's a regular thing. That's what scares me. It's almost tenfold. It's doubled, tripled, quadrupled. We deal with it in all the youth now. We have changed the way we do a lot of our testing, the way we've worked with the doctors in the emergency department, and the way they question their patients when they come into the emergency department. That's become one of the questions now. Do you vape?
In June of 2019, the CDC started getting reports of a lot of people being hospitalized due to vaping. They had a 95% hospitalization rate with this. What this was is e-cigarette vaping associated lung injury.
What happens that causes E-valley is that you get inflammation, you get acute lung injury, and you get a diffuse pneumonia that happens within the lung. It's a constellation of symptoms that's associated with vaping. We've known that there are several thousand cases of E-valley that have been reported and somewhere between 50 and 100 deaths.
Just this year, we had our first lung transplant here in Idaho from vaping. Patients said they'd vaped for about a year, which for a young person, that's just unheard of. That's the issue I see with vaping, is it's quick, so fast on the damage it does.
Vaping affected me mentally. I noticed it really hard to function in everyday life.
And when I didn't have it, I got like really angry.
With every hit, I would just push my emotions away.
Mentally, I just was not there.
Extreme anxiety whenever I didn't have it.
There'd be days that my vape wouldn't be charged, and those days were really bad.
Let's go, wake up! Time to wake up, tuck your shirts in. 60 seconds to get to the line, gentlemen, let's go! Let's go, get up! Let's go! White Chief, start my countdown! Let's go, get up! Let's go, gentlemen, get up! 30 seconds to get to my line. White Chief, where's my countdown? Let's go! 20 seconds.
First time I ever vaped was in my middle school, in the bathroom. Graduated from using it for my friends just to like hit it, to getting my own, to having it on me 24/7, and to hitting it at school, going to the bathroom, in class. I had a little bit of weed on me and I got caught with that. I could have been off probation a lot earlier and I blew it. You know, I got caught with some vapes. No weed or anything like that. I just struggled with vaping a lot. I'd always get close to getting off probation. I'd be like a month off, a few weeks off, and then I'd get caught at school with a vape and suspended. And then at that point, I've been suspended from school 3 times for a vape. And they're like, all right, you're getting expelled. I'm like, it's a problem. It's a big problem. I was behind on credits. My PO has talked to me about the Idaho Youth Challenge Academy, and I said no. I don't want to go to no military school. But talking to the superintendent, it was not a bad idea. The thing that mainly got me was the making 14 credits up in a 5-month process. So I mean, like, making 14 credits up in 5 months is a big deal. That's a whole year of credits in only 5 months. That's what I needed. I need to graduate and I need to get my life on track. And that's why I chose to come here. There's definitely a lot of changes from my home life to being here. Waking up at 5 in the morning, getting yelled at, telling them what to do, telling them when to sit down, standing for chow, telling them to do this. There's a lot of discipline. Look straight forward, hands by your side, or you're pushing until you do it correctly. No phones, no TVs, no music, no nothing like that. Just straight, in the woods, wilderness. I mean, I smoked right before I came in, like the day of. Yeah, it was definitely hard. The staff here definitely helped out. They understand that you have some withdrawals going on and they're there for you and they actually help you get through it. And also all the other cadets, them going through the same process that I'm going through, talking to them, it does help having somebody with you, through the fight, through the struggle.
I'm gonna be completely honest, if I didn't come to this academy, I don't know how I would stop.
Yeah, because it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and I wasn't disciplined before. I just would do whatever I feel like. I don't think I would have stopped anytime soon. I think it started as like me trying to be cool in front of my friends, so I started doing it with them. like a little bit, and then that's when I started to realize I'm like, oh crap, I'm actually not doing this to be cool anymore. Like I'm actually addicted. Like I like it. I need this.
You guys like wake up all the time in the middle of the night, hit your neck, and then go back to bed.
Oh yeah. I'm like, I shouldn't hit this, but you know what? I'll hit one more time. And then wake up one more time.
Or like, instead of sleeping, you'll look up and you'll be like, oh, it's already morning. I gotta go to school. I haven't even slept, you know. And then you sleep in your classes. And
like I remember seeing ads about, oh, vapes bring toxic chemicals into your lungs. I would just sit there and laugh.
I'd laugh at it too.
I'd
laugh and hit at the same time.
Like oh word.
Like, oh, for real?
This academy, and like I actually have a schedule and we've been working out, I really do realize how much like toxic stuff it puts into your body. Like I'm doing so good in school. I sucked at math. I was literally in like, I think it was like 7th grade level math. Like, and that was hard for me. I'm down here doing algebra now. I'm like, what? Like, where did this come from? Like, I'm not that smart, or like, I thought I wasn't that smart. I actually thought I was stupid.
100%, because I mean, you're going out to the bathroom and you're missing out on class, and you're not, I mean, math, you can't miss anything in math, and you go out there and you go hit vape, you're like, oh, I feel better, and you come back to math, and you're even more stressed, you gotta vape even more to cook, you know, get over that.
And then you're like, oh, I'm stressed some more, because I just missed out on that. Let's take another hit. Oh, I missed out. Like, it's just a repeating process.
According to the CDC, some of the chemicals that we see in e-cigarettes, 99% contain nicotine, heavy metals like nickel, lead, tin, and then one of the more concerning items are the flavors, and they contain a chemical called diacetyl, and that is linked to popcorn lung, which can be irreversible.
If you look in the back of like, say a jewel box, usually it only lists 4 or 5 chemicals. Propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, nicotine, flavors. If there is a 5th liquid, it's usually an acid. When we look at those 5 ingredients, propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, the cape takes up about 70% of the liquid. When you mix these two together, it creates formaldehyde. And formaldehyde, that is a cancer-causing substance. We know that formaldehyde causes lung cancer in smoking. That's a known fact. Anything with the word aldehyde at the end of it, cinnamon aldehyde, is hidden in flavorings. We don't know which ones. There's 25,000 different flavorings out there for vaping.
So through my research, which we've been doing this for about 10 years, we're interested in e-liquids that are found in e-cigarette products and looking at their toxicities. There's tens of thousands of different flavorings. And so we screened a bunch of them. And our major finding is that not all flavorings have the same level of toxicity.
One of the biggest misconceptions that I hear when it comes to vaping is that it's safer than smoking conventional tobacco, which is absolutely not true. The vehicle that's used to dissolve the e-liquids actually makes it easier for it to dissolve into your lungs. It's actually not safer for you to vape than it is to smoke. But once it gets dissolved into your bloodstream from your lungs, one of the organs that could be affected afterwards are your bones. And that's probably not the first thing that comes to your mind, but by age 18, you acquire 90% of the maximum bone density that you'll have for the rest of your life.
We know that nicotine inhibits the growth of our bone-forming cells. That will result in a decreased peak bone mass, especially if the users are under the age of 18. Decreased bone mass can put you at a greater risk for fracturing. It can also put you at a greater risk for osteoporosis later in life.
The amount of nicotine in these e-liquids that we're studying is astronomically larger than the amount of nicotine that we see in regular tobacco cigarettes. So there could be an even greater impact on these bone cells specifically.
When we expose the bone cells in our research to the e-liquids, even at really low concentrations, we can see that as the concentration of e-liquids increases, so does the number of damaged cells. And you can see that really clearly under the microscope. The only difference in the cells that we treat and the cells that we leave as our controls is the amount of e-liquids that we expose them to. And on one side you see living cells, and on the other side you see dead cells. From our studies, we've determined that the menthol and cinnamon flavors are the most toxic.
And a lot of these effects are happening independent of nicotine. And so the flavorings are having effects, and the nicotine is causing the addiction.
Although we don't have the same longitudinal studies that we do in tobacco smoking, the fact that we were able to see flavor-dependent responses in our cells at such low concentrations definitely suggests that we're moving towards an outcome that is just as bad, if not worse, in the long term when it comes to vaping.
The bottom line is the research has not caught up with the popularity.
I was feeling so bad. I took money like out of my dad's wallet to buy a vape, and I'm not a thief. We would go to different gas stations and hotels and search through the ashtrays that they had and search for like halfies or like anything that we could smoke.
I would lie to my dad and say that I needed money for lunch when really I was just saving it to buy a vape.
I have physically fought somebody for a vape.
Vaping is a huge problem in the high school age student. I ask them, where are you getting these things? And they're pretty much reaching out to strangers on social media. They call them their plugs. They hit them up or contact them on social media, ask them for whatever they want. And these adults are bringing our students these devices to smoke day in and day out.
I went on Snapchat, saw if there were any plugs that were selling vapes. And there was this one guy who, his whole entire story was just posts of all these different boxes of different kinds of vapes and how they were super cheap and how he lived really close to where I lived. At first, I was nervous just because I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what he looked like, how old he was, if it was a scam or not. I would usually go to Spokane, which was maybe like an hour drive. I would wait until my dad was asleep on a school night. I'd sneak out. I'd get a ride from a random person, whoever needed a vape, or I would pay them to drive me. And we'd go pick them up. I'd spend like $100 on 10 vapes, and then I'd make a profit of $200. My dealer saw that I was making a good amount of money. He started asking me if I wanted to sell other things like weed. He gave me probably over $300 in weed and over $500 in vapes. I got a message from one of my friends asking if they could buy some weed and a couple vapes off me at school. So I went to school with about 4 grams of bud on me and over 5 vapes. And I was sitting in class and got called down to the principal's office. And there were 2 cops down there. And then they searched my backpack, didn't find anything in it because I had it all in my bra. They said that they were gonna have a female police officer come and search me. I didn't want that to happen, so I just pulled out what I had, and right there I got an intent to sell and a misdemeanor for possession of marijuana.
Kids are able to hide them much easier than a traditional cigarette, right? They smell different, they're a lot smaller, they're a lot easier to conceal.
Some of the ways I've hidden vapes at school are making secret pockets in my backpack.
Keep it in my pocket and put my phone over it so that it just looks like I have my phone.
In the toilet paper dispenser.
In my bra.
In my sleeves or my socks or in my belt line, so if they search me with the metal detector, it beeps over my belt.
Kids are vaping everywhere. They are vaping in school, they're vaping at home, they are vaping in front of adults. You know, vapes are designed to look like office products. They look like Sharpies, they look like pens, they look like flash drives.
The thing with the pod devices and disposables is they're like super easy to hide. There's drawstring watches, pens, keychains, lipstick.
And because of the way they're designed, they can literally be used anywhere without being detected.
Some places I would hide them, hide it in my skateboard, just put it right there. Blanket, I'd stuff it in here. Inside my guitar, put it under my mattress or under my carpet, under this one or under the flat sheet. I'd also put it in like a sweater in the pocket, under my pants or in between them, or I'd stuff it in some shoes. I would put it in the picture frame, and you know how like it holds right there? Like I'd put it like right here on the back of it. I'd also hide it in my tissue box. My parents wouldn't really like notice it, but I usually just stuff it all the way in the bottom of it. And whenever I was fiending for it, I'd just go in there and grab it. But I'd usually keep it under my pillow mostly because that's when I was like mostly like, that's the easiest place I can go. When I wake up, I usually take a hit. Middle of the night, I usually take a hit as well.
I just hate it. I just hate the vaping. We've done counseling, we've done sports. It got to a point where my husband and I purchased these alarm systems so we can hear when he opened his window, because if he opened his window, that means he was doing something he's not supposed to be doing.
There has been so many times that I've talked to parents that said, oh, my kid doesn't vape, they know better. And then weeks later, they're calling me and saying, hey, I found this in their room.
There's not a specific type of kid that vapes. I think it spans from rich, poor, to athlete, to honor roll.
If you don't think your kid is vaping, think again. 40% of all kids in Idaho have at least tried it once.
Vaping did lead to other substances that I put into my body.
Vaping led to smoking cigarettes when I couldn't get a vape.
Marijuana, and then that led me down to a whole bunch of other stuff.
Smoking weed, then alcohol, and then the harder substances.
Once I got the high, I felt like I really just had to keep it going.
In early 2009 and 2006, we only saw nicotine in these devices, but now as these have adapted, other drugs have adapted with it.
Kids who I catch smoking marijuana typically started vaping e-cigarettes, and then they continued on to marijuana because it's just as easy to smoke THC out of a vape as it is nicotine.
So street vaping is a lot more dangerous than buying from an actual vape shop because people are making these chemicals in their homes and then they're selling them, and you don't know what's in them.
These dealers, adults that are willing to sell to children, are just selling them whatever they can get their hands on to get their money. Even here on campus, I have tested a device and it tested to have fentanyl inside of it. We have people who are dying from these things because they smoke something that they don't know what it is and potentially have an overdose.
So we have actually heard of meth being vaped, heroin, MDMAs like Molly, ecstasy. We've heard rumors of people putting vitamin E acetate in them. I've even heard of super glue being added to them.
If your kids are in a school situation, they're going to be exposed to and offered a vape at some point. We need to talk with our kids before they're faced with it. We need to talk with them when they're young, so they're more likely to listen to us. They're going to know about the dangers, and they're going to know how to handle it when they're faced with the situation.
It's important to tell my story well because vaping almost killed me.
Brogan's my middle child. He's 19 years old. Brogan's a very kind, giving person.
I like to bowl, I like to hunt, dirt bike, I like to play the piano, I like spending time with family. When I started vaping, I want to say I was 13. Everybody around me did it. Friends, family, I was doing it constantly.
So the day started like any other day. I called Brogan to see what he was doing, and he had gotten off work and walked down to the river to go fishing with his cousin and a friend of theirs.
Mom called me and said, hey, I'm over at Grandma's. You want to meet me there? I was like, yeah, no problem. My buddy was like, all right, well, I'll see you later. I was like, well, let me hit your vape before I go. I hit it, and I was like, all right, see you later. Me and my cousin went to my grandma's house.
Brogan sat on the couch with us. He started looking up at the ceiling fan and kind of pointing at it. And I looked over at him and I was like, what are you doing, Brogan? And he laid down behind me. And I said, quit messing around. What are you doing? And that's when he started having a full-on grand mal seizure. His eyes rolled up in his head. His body locked up, head to toe. It's terrifying. You feel so helpless as a parent. Thank goodness my husband was there. He is a fireman. He's dealt with this. He ran in the room and he laid Brogan on the floor and was rubbing his back. And I just remember it sounded like he was gasping to breathe, and his eyes were still rolled up in his head, and his whole body was just shaking. Every muscle in his body was contracting. In that moment, I thought, this is it. I'm gonna lose my child, my worst nightmare. I called 911, and I ran outside to wait for the ambulance to get there. When the paramedics got there and I took them in the house where Brogan was, he had started to come to. And one of the questions the paramedics asked was, did you ingest anything? Did you take anything? Did you eat anything? Did you drink anything? Anything out of the ordinary? And he's like, no. My nephew is standing there, and I looked at him and I said, did you guys do anything that would cause this? And he said, we hit a vape. So when we were in the hospital, I told the doctor that he had hit a vape maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes before the seizure hit. The emergency doctor did say that in all likelihood, vaping did trigger the seizure. Nicotine poisoning probably is what caused it. However, vapes have not been out long enough to do studies to prove that seizures can be caused by vaping.
When the doctor said that it was more than likely caused by vaping, I just thought to myself, there's no way, because I've been doing it for how long? Wouldn't it have happened sooner?
There's not enough research to prove that that's what caused his seizure. So to a teenage boy, they're not going to believe that vaping caused the seizure because they want to vape.
My relationship with my mom after my first seizure changed.
I pulled him out of public school, made him homeschool.
She was very strict.
I isolated him from all of his friends.
She was searching through my stuff.
I actually bought nicotine tests to start testing him at home.
She would not let me hang out with my friends.
Rarely left the house. However, he did have a cousin stay the night.
He brought a vape with him. We vaped all night.
His cousin come running in our bedroom and said, something's wrong with Brogan.
And I ended up having a seizure that night.
Me and my husband got up and ran in his room, and I looked right at his cousin. As Brogan is laying there having a grand mal seizure, I looked at his cousin and I said, did he vape today? And he just stared at me and I said, I need to know. And he said, yes, he did.
That night, it was clear to me that vaping caused my seizure, because what else would have caused it on that particular night? After that second seizure, I was done. I didn't even touch a vape after that.
I think what finally made Brogan quit is fear. The fear of having a seizure and not coming out of it.
Even after I quit vaping, there still was times when I was like 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm just like, what if I don't wake up tomorrow?
It's been really hard, mostly for him. He's lost all his independence. He now has a huge medical debt. He's diagnosed with a seizure disorder. That will follow him the rest of his life.
If I had never vaped, my life would be so different. I wouldn't have had to sell my dirt bike. I wouldn't have had to lose my job or my license, and I would have never had to start taking pills every day for seizure medication.
A big problem is once parents find out their kids are vaping, it's almost too late. They're already hooked. Parents need to wake up. They need to realize that this is real and this is a problem and it's getting worse.
I want people to understand, you got one life, live it smart. Don't be dumb. Don't do what I did. Don't risk it.
The best way to keep your kids away from vaping is to talk to them. So we actually do have studies that show us that talking to your kids works. Kids who regularly have to check in with their parents about their free time are half as likely to try tobacco products. Those are great numbers. So I actually often get asked by parents, how do I talk to my kids? So you remain calm, you don't be alarmed about it, and you look for opportunities to talk with them. Ask a simple question like, I hear that a lot of kids are vaping at school. Is that something that you're seeing? And that kind of opens up the lines of communication. And if you're not confrontational with them, and if they're not feeling like this is a lecture, then they're open to telling you what their day-to-day life is like, and you can kind of see what they're faced with.
You have to tell me what I need to do to help you. Vaping, it affects all of us. So now moving forward that you're not vaping, what are you gonna do when you're stressed out at work?
It's everywhere, Mom. There's not like one place I'll see someone smoking or doing something and just go with what I want. I'm not gonna go with something that somebody else wants or something that's gonna control me while I'm doing something that I should be doing,
Well, there's gonna be a lot more challenges ahead.
And I'll face those challenges.
Yep.
And
we'll do it together. Now that you're not doing the stuff that you did before, Mijo, you're glowing. I love it. You're happier, and I hope that you know that Dad and I are both proud of you. I'm proud of how like you're committed, sticking to not vaping anymore, changing your circle with your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge, Miko. I love you.
Let's go.
One of the hardest things about quitting is how lonely you feel. Like, I went from being in a huge group of people to just sitting by myself, watching the people who I thought were my friends doing the same thing that I don't want to be part of anymore.
The hardest thing for me about quitting would probably be not having that feeling or having something to do all the time.
Seeing my friends do it.
So I always reach in my backpack for something and it's not there.
Even just smelling it will make me want to hit it. Wanting to hold it in your hand. It's hard to fight that urge when it's like right in front of you all the time.
When I vaped, I just pushed my emotions away, and now I have to face them.
So teen cessation can be really tricky. They actually have 3 types of addictions with these. They have a nicotine addiction, they have device addiction of always having it in their hand, but also there's a flavor addiction. And I was talking to one kid and he said that was the hardest addiction for him to quit, was the flavor addiction. We don't really have a whole lot of tools like we do with adults. With adults, we can give them patches, gum, lozenges. They could get Chantix or Wellbutrin prescribed by their doctor.
Typically, we don't use medications for teens like we use with adults, and that's just because their brains are still developing.
Since we don't have those tools for a teenager, we have to work on coping skills, limit yourself to exposure to vapes. So if you have it in your house, get rid of them. Try to stay away from those friends that were vaping. Usually with nicotine addiction, the cravings don't last very long. And so if you can get your mind off of it for even just 5-10 minutes, usually that helps. We try to meet with them as much as we can through the process and just kind of help them through that journey. But it's going to be a hard journey, especially if they're teenagers that are really addicted to these. And some teenagers are waking up in the middle of the night craving these. That's a super high addiction.
Project Filter is Idaho's cessation program. There's actually a vaping tab if you go onto their website. And then we have the Truth Initiative. It's another really good one that has apps available. They're all anonymous, and they have specific messages from teens who have gone through it. They share their story. They share how it was hard, why it was hard, what they did to overcome that. 40% of teens who use a tool like that, like an app or a texting program, they're more successful. So it's important that they take that step and use the tools that we do have available for them.
Addiction isn't just something you can like get over and then just push it away. Like, oh, I'm not addicted anymore. Like it's there forever. It's in your mind. The best thing I could tell anyone would be like, stop now, because it's just gonna get harder. It's gonna be harder to stop.
The best thing to do is not even start, because once you start, I used to always think like, oh, I can stop. I just don't want to.
The famous quote, I can stop whenever I want. I mean, I've had a substance abuse counselor. One of the best tips he gave me, and I've realized it, is keep yourself busy. You keep yourself busy, you do something, you look forward to something you won't be feeding. You look forward to chow. You're like, all right, I'm looking forward to chow.
Just
looking
think
forward
about
to eating.
the next thing.
Chow to snack, chow to snack.
Keep yourself busy, and you won't have that. I need to go hit something. I need to go get a vape. I need to go smoke. I need to go do something. Just keep yourself busy.
Or keep your mouth busy, you know, like chew gums or eat seeds, you know, so you can always keep your mouth busy instead of, oh, you know, I need to hit this vape.
One of the things I do to help my cravings is box breathing. It's something that just helps me calm down. I like journaling. That helps me just get my feelings out in a healthy way. Another coping strategy that I use is self-care. With like getting enough sleep, exercising, eating the right kind of food, that kind of stuff really helps me with preventing my craving for doing negative things like vaping, and makes it so things are just calmer and less stressful, because that's usually what triggered me to vape most.
The people that we surround each other with that's us, you know? If you surround yourself with bad people, then you're gonna make bad choices. And so when I get out of here, I'm definitely going to remove the people that were bad influences on me. I'm going to make some new friends, make better friends, friends that empower me and help me do the right thing.
I feel like the best thing that, that's gonna help me stay away from it is having a goal in place, and because I want to go to CSI, I want to graduate, high school. I want to go into welding. I want to advance my career in welding and make bank, make as much as I can. And I feel like having that mindset and, my goals and plan, that's going to help me the most to quit and thrive.
It'd be kind of nice to have like an extra 20 years not being dead.
I'm sure our future selves will thank us now.
Being able to breathe.
Yeah, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. You guys want to play some basketball?
Absolutely.
Yep.
There is quite a bit of catch-up that needs to be done, both within the medical community as well as the community at large, about what vaping really is and the dangers of it.
My fears about vaping are that fact that we just don't have the same kind of culture against it that we do with tobacco smoking.
There have been very targeted advertising towards children and teenagers to make it cool and exciting and acceptable, and we need to have a culture shift away from that, because it's not cool, it's not acceptable, and it's not safe.
Education is key. If parents want to talk to their kids about vaping, they need to know what they're talking about. So you don't need to talk about Juul anymore. That was 2 years ago. They're now doing disposables. So you have to be current in your knowledge.
Another really great service on Truth Initiative is for parents of vapers, and they can sign up for text messages. So that's really helpful because they get reminders of ways that they can communicate with their kids, so it's not confrontational. It's really helpful for them to have some assistance in how to talk to their kids about it and how to support them through that quitting.
It feels amazing to be substance-free. I don't think I've ever been this positive or this motivated in my life.
I feel like more myself. I can breathe, I can think clear.
It feels great. I feel on top of the world.
It's a lot easier to focus.
I'm more outgoing and kinder.
My feelings don't rely on nicotine.
It's cool because my dad sees that I'm improving in my work ethic too, my coping skills as well. I've been more in the chill instead of being so angry. My mom, now all she talks about is she's loving me, she'd always give me kisses and hugs. Now I'm 17, now I look back and I'm like, man, that 15-year-old me was not thinking right. You really thought you had it, but no, you don't. Because I was struggling. And now I see that, I'm like, how'd you think you were going to make it out if you just kept doing that, Just looking back at it, and now that I have support, it's that support is going to get me up on my feet. I got my family. I got the people that want to be here with me and be there for me.
Education is powerful. Our kids are smart. If we give them the education, I think they can use those tools to make better decisions. It's much easier to prevent than to stop an addiction.
When I was vaping, I lied about a lot of stupid things. And I feel now that I'm clean, I can start to rebuild that trust. And trust is honestly one of the biggest things in life, especially with family. I was given the opportunity to graduate and get my diploma at the academy, or come home and graduate a semester later with my class. I decided to go back to my high school here in our town because what I've gone through and who I am now, a totally different person. All the heartaches and the troubles that I've conquered, and also my friends that I've made along the way. My family's gonna come down for my graduation, which will be fun. And also having the staff members who have believed in me and have helped me along the way, that I can, show them that I can do something with my life and I'm committed and I can actually accomplish something.
I'm honestly thinking about how I got called in the office right there, getting searched by the police. And I think about how much I've changed since I've been here last. My goal was to just pass high school and maybe get a job that would pay decent. And now I am signed up for Job Corps. I'm gonna be going to college here soon. And I actually feel like I am looking forward to something in my future. I'm able to tell myself that I'm not constantly being controlled by something that is killing me every time I hit it. And it's really nice knowing that I have control of myself again, which is something I haven't felt since the first day I started vaping. I think I actually found myself for once.
Funding for this program is provided by the Millennium Fund, the Friends of Idaho Public Television, and the Idaho Public Television Endowment.